Hello, greetings and salutations, listeners. So I I was at the beach the other day, right? And I got to thinking. Well, I mean, firstly, I say the beach. Obviously, it's like saying the moon or something like that. The Earth, the White House, whatever. I mean, there's so many different beaches throughout the multiverse. And even, each planet has a lot of different beaches on them for the most part. Um, I mean, unless you're talking about like a planet like Stuvian 2, for example, which doesn't really have a lot of anything, no offense, to Stuvian 2. I mean, those folks typically tend to have a good sense of humor about that kind of stuff. They're pretty self-deprecating, so I'd imagine they wouldn't take too much offense to that. But I mean, like in terms of terrain, they don't really have a lot of. Well, I mean, sand uh, cannot exist there. It's just not allowed to exist. So that there's that, and also water. They don't have water. But anyway, so I was at this beach. I was at a beach. There, is that better? I think that's better. So I was at a beach the other day, right? And I got to thinking, it's like it's like you get like, so you know how, like, if you've ever been to a beach, there's water, right? Because it's an ocean. It's the ocean. Well, this particular beach was the ocean. I guess not all beaches have to be on ocean side. Some of them, maybe there's some beach around a lake or a river, possibly, or like an intercoastal or something like that. Just some kind of land body of water, if that makes sense. Just like fresh water, I guess, mainly. Not always, but you know, just non-ocean sources. But with this particular one, it just happened to be an ocean, and so there's the ocean water, and there's sand, and the sand is like, it's the ground, basically. So, like, I never really pay attention at a lot of places what the ground is made of. If it's like, like what that material is. If it's like maybe a hardwood surface, or maybe tile. Well, tiles more in houses, like in residences. I find it's not very common in most public places, but you know what I mean. Just like, hardwood maybe, or regular wood, softwood, I suppose. Um, some type of metal. I don't know. I mean, I never really pay attention to it, but I do know the specific feeling of sand on my feet, and I do know that most public places do not use sand as a flooring. I do, however, know that beaches tend to use sand for public flooring, and that is because it is the planet that supplies the sand and locates the sand. Well, locates seems to be like synonymous with finding. It disperses the sand to these various locations, because you see, the sand is actually beneath the water. It's on the ocean floor. So it's the floor of the ocean. Like imagine the ocean is like a store or a restaurant or some kind of public location, right? So imagine it's like a business. Well, the floor of that building, imagine it's a building basically. Well, the floor of that building is sand, and like, wouldn't that like just be weird or, well, I guess just interesting, really, if you replaced all floors with sand? Like, if everything on the ground was now just sand. I think it would definitely take some getting used to, to get adjusted to this new way of life. But I think, in time we would eventually get used to it, and as the generations progress, or as the generations were to progress in this hypothetical scenario, eventually I think they just stop questioning it, for a while at least, until somebody questions it again. But I think for the most part they would just accept it and just be like, yeah, it's sand. It's always been sand. As long as I remember, it's always just sand. And so, you know, um, because it's interesting. It has a very distinct feel. For example, I find it hard to run in sand. I can't really run very fast in sand, which, to a perhaps a philosophical standpoint, or you know, poetic interpretation, it might be a good thing because, you know, haste makes waste, as some would say. If you move too fast, you might miss out on some things. That's all. It's all a philosophical debate, really. I don't mean to stimulate your mind with those kind of quandaries and such, but I'm trying to put a positive spin on this, because when I make a statement like I can't run very fast in sand, it's very easy for somebody to interpret that as being a negative thing, or as being something like a problem that I have with sand. And I don't have a problem with sand. It's like sand and I, we go back a while. If I actually, you know what? I like sand. I'll go ahead and say that. I'll go on record saying that I, the host of Hello, Greetings, and Salutations, do in fact like sand. And so, yeah, it's an important thing for everybody because sand, I mean, I like sand, and I like, the amount of, it's really a multi-purpose tool. I mean, like for example, like I said, I was at a beach today, and there's just a lot of sand to go around, and therefore a lot of possibilities to go around of things you can do with that aforementioned sand, because the sand is grand. It really is. There's there's really not much you can't do with sand. Um, the only other thing I can really think of with that many uses, well, there's two things. One is a plumpus, and the other is a pencil. But sand's really up there, I'd say, in the top three as far as most uses. Okay, so yeah, basically, I have no idea where I was at before all that. Um, but I do know that the phone is ringing here, so let's take a call. Caller, you are on the air. Hello, this is Figurative Frank. Oh, hello there, Figurative Frank. How you doing? Not too bad. I'm hanging in there. What about yourself? Yeah, pretty much the same here, So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Life's a real roller coaster sometimes, you get ups and downs. Alright, yeah, I hear that, I hear that. So, what brings you to the program today? You know, contractual obligations. I mean, you know, it's the material that you're discussing. I find it very intriguing. It's interesting, and I just cannot help myself but to further pursue this information. All right. I mean, I'm not like, an expert on this stuff. Oh, no, of course not. Um, but you do know things. Yes, yes, I do know things. All right. Well, like what kind of things? Well, what kind of things are you looking for, Frank? Oh, come on, please don't make me spell it out. Well, but I'm confused though. I'm genuinely confused. What you mean as far as like, like these things that you speak of are like I want to know about beaches. And I want to know about oceans, shorelines, coasts. Well, that whole thing. Okay. Well, uh so I mean I kind of already explained this at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, well, you explained it to the listeners, but now can you just explain it to me? All right. Well, so the beach. I just need an explanation, like for at least the next like 2 minutes and 37 seconds. All right. Well, so a beach is like there's sand and there's water and there's some. I mean, it's pretty much just those two things, but I mean you can do a lot with them. The water is really salty in the case of an ocean, and there's waves and things like that. You could just kind of they got sand and you can just kind of like play around and relax. It's very I don't really know how to describe it. You just gotta have like a beach day, and then you'll know what I mean. There's water and there's sand, and some people don't go in the water, and then it's just sand. And then some people don't like the sand, and they just go in the water. And some people don't go in the water, and they don't like the sand. They still go to the beach because I don't know, maybe like they just everybody has different reasons for things, I guess. But those are the two main features, the main draws that I found. Wow, that was real interesting what you just said there. I mean, I don't know how you do it, honestly. I don't know how you find all this information and you compile it together in such an easily digestible format. I mean, this is genius. This whole program really is just well, I mean that's very kind of you. Oh, I insist. I mean every word. It's with the utmost sincerity. This program is just phenomenal. It's really unlike anything else I've ever heard. And just the way that you go about hosting the show is, I mean, I'm just speechless here. Like that was so eloquent. The way that you explained all that was just like nothing short of poetic, really. Um, Well, looks like I gotta get going now. I gotta duck out early. But you better believe it was real nice talking to you. Just real nice. All right, well, thank you for the kind words, and nice talking to you too, as always, Figurative Frank. Always great to have you, in my court, so to speak, in in on the bleachers. I can do better than that. It's always good to have you on the. Yeah, I think I get the idea. I gotta get going. All right. Well, thanks for calling. Bye. All right. Anyway, so yeah, what now? This is like the next part of the show, and I got some more things to say in probably an equally eloquent manner. Let's just get there. All right. So, folks, for those of you who are still with us and haven't departed on a journey into restful slumber, hopefully you are, you know, on the bus waiting for it to leave, so to speak, you know. But, I mean, I don't judge. Maybe you're not listening to this to get tired or go to sleep. Maybe it's just to unwind, maybe just to relax or decompress. Maybe it's just, like a soundtrack to a daydream, basically, if that makes any sense. Or like, something to have on in the background while you do some other task, maybe while you're driving or while you're doing some work or some chores or errands, maybe while you're at work or school or, what have you. I really don't know. Maybe you just, like, it's none of the above. Maybe you're just listening to it because, like, hey, a new episode's out and I wanna, what's going on with this one. But whatever the case, whether you're just kind of swimming around in an ocean, or you're like floating around in space, or you're, you know, sitting around on the land, or, really any combination thereof, or other, always you can circle in that bubble. But it's just good. It's good to know. It really is good to know a lot of things. Mainly, your viewership of this program does not go unnoticed and does not go unappreciated. That you can be assured, and I still, like, I have my eyes closed right now, and I'm envisioning. I always seem to envision something whenever I close my eyes. It's just kind of, I wonder if that happens to everyone. But, like, I'm seeing the beach I was at today. That's strange because it's very seldom directly based on something from that day's events. Sort of like dreams. But I see it very vividly. I picture myself in the water, in the ocean. And there's like 2 points of view, and it's like split in half. So it's like I'm looking back at myself. It's like I'm locked in a staring contest with myself. Neither one of us are moving independently. But there's that one part of me that's how I actually was, which is facing into the ocean, from the sand, from the land of the sand, and going into the ocean and all that. And the other half is a little bit deeper in, still before a big drop off, and staring back at me, but with the land behind me. And I see for this deeper one, more waves because they fizzle out as they get closer to the shoreline. But these waves, I just sort of like let them carry me where I need to go. And I'm really only staring at myself when things are calm. There's no waves and just kind of standing there. But whenever there is a wave, it's like it's something else to do. I don't know how much it affects the other me out there in the shallower waters, but I would imagine it's not as much because waves kind of fizzle out a little bit in the distance between the two of us. But it's like for this me and the deeper part, I guess kind of sometimes there'll be a series of waves, like there's some smaller ones, and then there's another big one before it goes calm again. And during these, it's like just dip under the water a little bit and just kind of let it happen. Like if I wanted to, I could stay above water the whole time, no problem. But I kind of like wanted to go underwater and just see like what it looks like, because I've been underwater in my pool with goggles, and that's about it. But I've never like been underwater for real, like in an actual natural body of water. So I thought this is an opportunity, and it's just curious. I don't have any goggles or anything in this image, but I'm just kind of like be alright somehow, and so I'm just kind of like dipping down and going onto the water, and there's these like gentle waves, and it's sort of like just rocking back and forth all these different directions and everything. And this one comes as this was the process all hey, moving about, moving all around, we go like left, right, and up, down, forward. And here comes the next one. See what happens. Number two. Two goes one. That was all real close. This is like this one's not ordinary. This one is seventh wave. And let's watch seventh wave. Watch seventh wave. This one's real because not only is it going to take as soon as you call it, unless you find a way because ultimately this so Scoozy was just gonna be part of the boss for some time. It's just like, oh yeah, I see what that's what I keep saying. Just want to be someone else. But the ocean never forgets. It never. First thought that comes to my mind is where hurricanes come from. This yeah, it was like, well, these people, like, so really, it's so bad, probably so much of the harvest, like 40 miles. So it was, because anytime you go to that place, when it does happen, you know, yes. Well, I don't mean to keep anyone here waiting for wait for the ocean to rise up as it rose up before. Never alone, even when you're alone. Watch your seventh. Good night, everybody.